skip yet, but I saw Frozendoze show that off, and I've seen some runners get some nice time saves with it. So I'm excited to see if that makes any kind of a difference here. If somebody's more practiced up than the other, they could get a nice lead off of it.
And
but here we go.
So on outfits today, Frozen is still completely the opposite of his name. Miyugi, fire wings, and just burning everywhere. Whereas Squall is more on a Azrael style get up, I believe.
Yeah. Got the Azrael wings, the Azrael outfit. I wonder if Frozen is trying to send a message to Soldrin saying, hey, I need some ice wings here.
You know, I wouldn't mind just a dress-up DLC. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking Soldrin for a long time for an actual Azrael potion, but he'd always tell me no. It was too hard to animate.
That's a shame.
But both our runners have no problem getting past the Ruby race, so hardest boss down. And now we are into the floating keep.
There's not much happening in the floating keep. Is the easiest area in the game. The only thing, however, is that in Wings of V is a pretty hard game. And every save has a death potential somewhere. And if you die in the floating keep, since the saves are so far apart, it can cost you an enormous amount of time. So far, everything seems to be good for both our players. They're coming towards the first damage boost. I don't know if you want to give our viewers an explanation of the damage boost.
Yeah, so in this game, you can actually, if you just walk off an edge or something, you can use your jump that normally you would just use from the ground, but in midair. And a damage boost, what that is when an enemy bops you, and so by taking damage, you get stunned, you get kind of knocked up into the air just a little bit, but then you can jump from that position, and so you get a little bit of extra height that wasn't intended. And it just lets our runners do some cool skips, and we'll see that used a few times during this run, a couple places where it's a big deal, a few places where it's just nice. And so they used it to get a little bit of an advantage here, and then they just picked up their feather there, which will let them now use their wings and flutter.
Yep, here we are. Here a little bit of a flutter tutorial section that teaches you how to go horizontal with it or how to get extra height with it. Basically, flutter follows your momentum. If you're falling down, you're going to flutter down a little bit before you start going back up. It's a little bit like a Yoshi jump. If you jump and flutter immediately, your flutter will give you a large amount of extra height, and that is very useful to go on higher platforms. Using flutter is kind of a little bit of a puzzle in a few jumps. You have to learn how to get some jumps done, and that's a pretty interesting mechanic.
Absolutely is. So on the second portal, you'll notice Frozendoze right there just ducked down and then reset the portal. What he was doing was just spawning an extra wave of enemies early, because it's actually faster to do that than it is to spawn an extra wave at the end. Solid cleaning up that portal, making his way over to the first boss, Frozen right behind him.
Yeah, both players with an exit of the second portal under 3 minutes in game time, so that's pretty fast.
Yeah, I think Solid's on really good pace here, and Frozen is on certainly respectable pace for a race. Myogi 1 here, this boss is a fairly simple boss, mostly just a tutorial boss. You just dodge the attacks, deal with any enemies she spawns, and then when she lowers her guard, you swipe at her. And if you use the weapon that our runners are using here, called Sloth, you can do double the damage that the first weapon of the game does, which lets you defeat this boss in 3 hits.
Yep, both players here finish Miyugi pretty much at the same time, and are going to make their way to the second part of the keep. Second part of the keep is pretty interesting. Well, it's the same in every area of the game. When an area of the game is loaded, everything is on a cycle that begins immediately when you enter it. And Floating Keep 2 is pretty interesting in that if you manage to keep a good pace throughout the entire thing, it works out very well, and you can continue going fast for the entire thing.
Yeah, the cycle, that's what makes this area so difficult for a speedrunner to learn, I think, is because any mistake just throws off all the cycles that you were on. You can do things like reset at a save, like we just saw Squall do there, which just puts you back on a cycle that you might be comfortable with, but it is optimal overall to just go from the beginning to the end without taking a reset, without having to stop and slow down and take a death. It's better just to go from beginning to end in one continuous motion, but that's hard to do.
Yep, especially since both of players here are playing with controller lag. Frozen is not playing on controller, he's playing on keyboard. Solid is, so we have kind of a gentleman's agreement because plugging in a controller adds to your load time in this game for MMF reasons. So we have a gentleman's agreement that if a player plays controller, both players will plug one to have equal load times. And we're entering for Gora here. Pretty much a tank and spank. Not much to do here, except the RNG can have a big effect on how quickly the fight goes, and Frozen gets the best RNG here, which is Vomit, and Squall gets the worst. Frozen just took the lead.
Disappointed, Squall did not use Sloth on the low swoops. Could have saved a bit more time. But yeah, Frozen getting the better luck there with the opening attack from Kagura, which definitely saves some time. You'll notice a lead change here. Frozen is now ahead.
Sloth on low swoops is extremely hard to time, however. You don't have a lot of time to press Sloth before he swoops at you, so you have to react extremely quickly. And if you miss the first one, then the weapon does not recharge quickly enough for you to save the two others. So it's I've been practicing it, but I'm still not very consistent at it. You're still the only one to do it consistently right now.
Yeah, well, hope you guys can all catch up someday. Both of our runners getting that falling skip with the Ruby backpack, so they are making their way out of that auto-scroller without having to play it over to the Electram Mountain and then on their way to the village to get that double jump. Squall struggled a little bit with the falling skip, so he lost a little bit of time here as well. So Frozen's got a pretty decent lead for the early game.
Yep. Both our players making their way to Electram now, which is the third boss of the game. Electram is pretty interesting. He has 4 attacks, 3 of which you can hit him, and 1 which you can't. So what our players hope here is to have an Electram that does not use the orb skill, which we call Orbless, which saves about 8 seconds.
Let's see, a Squall makes me proud here. Damage boost? No. Disappointed.
I don't think a lot of players are going to be using the damage boost in races, since it's pretty dangerous. If you miss it, you tend to take a second hit, and you enter the fight at 30 health, which is not ideal.
Yeah, but Squall is actually the world record holder for Mortal Doomed, so he's used to taking bosses on with no hits to give, so he should be fine.
Oh, that's true.
But it's okay. Frozendoze now on the Electram and Rage phase, where he just kind of sits there and waits for the boss to finish its attack before the fight will continue. Solid just entering that now. And yeah, Pika Dancer Dave. I still don't understand that reference, but Pika Dancer Dave. Really fun boss.
We're gonna have to ask Suki for a reason there, but Frozen gets a good kill here. On Electram, both players had pretty much the same RNG on the boss. Now we're going to exit Electram at very, very close pace.
Yeah, this is fairly close considering how the early game RNG stacks up, and I'd say from this point on, the RNG isn't as big of a factor now for boss fights in terms of how much time you're going to lose and gain based on just what you're dealt. There's a lot more execution that comes your way. Amethyst and Terravine can give you a little bit, but it's usually not a big deal.
Yeah, usually they're going to level out very well. We're coming into the second part of the Terrestrial Veil here. And this is one of the major damage boosts in the game, because a little bit later here, our players are going to be able to use a damage boost that skips pretty much half of the area. However, it's a very dangerous skip, and we're going to see here if our players will be able to get through it without dying.
Be interested to see their setups here. Looks like I think they're both going to go for the yellow save and reset there, which is absolutely a good idea for a race. This is one of the hardest saves to pull off in a speedrun of this game, and so it can be very nerve-wracking, and if you take a death here, it's a huge time loss. So Frozen there using that Saw Blade to get a boost up. Looks like Squall's going to take 2 bug hits to do it, so both of them getting up there with a similar amount of HP loss, but Squall, I think, can take an extra hit.
Squall went for Heartless, Frozen went for the Heart, now Squall just took the lead. If he manages to get out of the skip here, and he does, he manages to do it, takes the lead because Frozen went for just a little bit of a safer tactic, and Squall managed to do the scarier tactic, which is to not take the Heart that heals all of your HP. To the right.
Alright, both of our runners getting over that Troll Cave damage boost, which is also a tricky one to do. Took Frozen a couple tries, but he's right behind Squall now. Again, Amethyst can vary a little bit in the time it takes to kill her. Not by a lot. Usually it's not a big deal, but we'll see how that plays out. Squall should have a pretty solid lead right now.
She's in a way an auto-scroller. I mean, you can deal a maximum of 16 damage to her every attack, and it's kind of easy to deal 16 damage every attack. So I believe both of players are going to be able to max out on damage and just have to survive the attacks that she throws at them.
Yeah, it should be noted this is one of the longer boss fights, I believe, and so if you do take a death here, it's a pretty big setback. So we're hoping both of our runners make it out of here without taking a death, so that we can have the race keep being fairly neck and neck.
That is true, especially since both players skip the save right before the boss. Because it's a little bit like what we saw with Electram. You reset immediately after you kill the boss, and you get back to a previous save, which saves you a lot of time on the backtrack.
Yeah, death warping is a big part of the speedrun. It's used in a lot of places because typically, even though you don't take a checkpoint, the game still saves your progress upon achieving something. So here we go, Solid resetting back to that save, getting that nice time gain out of that boss fight, and heading his way to the Sinister Grotto. And Frozen just cleaned up the boss as well, so he's right behind him.
Yep, there's about, I would say, a 10-second difference between both players. And there's still a lot of areas where the game can trip up our players, and 10 seconds literally means nothing at this point in the game.
So in this area, we're going to be seeing a lot of just kind of puzzly stuff, minecarts, lasers with switches that you have to shoot to buy you time to get through a gate. There's going to be a lot of spiders and plants. And in general, the platforming is fairly consistent. Speedrunning-wise, most people feel very comfortable in this area to the point that there will be a lot of save points that are a bit out of the way, and people will just skip right past them instead of committing to grabbing the save points because, I mean, losing a couple seconds for a checkpoint seems like a good idea if you're casually playing, but if you're going fast and you know you're not going to die, there's no need to take that. Except in the moments when you do die, in which case it's a time loss.
Except for that save point here that Squall just took. Save points kill enemies on screen, so Squall went up to spawn a few extra plants, went down, saved to kill those plants, and that makes the way up a lot safer. It's a little bit of a slower tactic, but it's extremely safe.
Just want to point out that is Wolfie's strat. Just gonna say it's Wolfie's.
Can I disagree?
It's not Phraseless.
I think I came up with that one.
I don't know about that.
I might have. I'm not sure. It's been too long.
There's been some heated debate in our community for a long time as to who exactly came up with that strat. Wolfie did that.
Okay, well, we can give it to Wolfie. We like Wolfie. He's a good guy.
All right, coming up, we've got the Dark Annihilator boss fight. Squall not going for the water physics glitch. You can take down this boss, and then at the end, if you do get the water physics, you can just jump out of the arena and save some time. But he's just going to play it the good old-fashioned way. This boss is a fairly simple boss. You just stay back, shoot at the boss a lot, use your orbs, which you gotta be constantly using them. They come off cooldown about every second or so. So you want to just keep your clip empty. Just keep shooting the boss. And then if you do good damage to him, you won't get... Well, you won't run out of time. Because eventually, if you take too long on this boss, you're going to hit the wall at the very back, and there's a spike floor that kills you. So you don't want to take too long.
Yep. Also, the boss makes stuff appears that you need to destroy, or else everything will go very bad for you, like these balls here that Squall is destroying. These lay fire on the ground, and that fire does not go away, so it can get a little bit dangerous. Also, bombs coming from the right heal the boss, so you have to destroy them before they get to the boss. SolidSquall here, almost a perfect fight. Gets over there with no problem. Frozen's also on a very good pace for a very solid boss. You can know if you had a good fight by how far back to the left he was when he dies, and Squall just had a really solid one. That was pretty impressive.
Would you say that was a solid boss fight?
That was a solid boss fight.
From Solid and Frozen?
Well, I don't think we can say it was a Squall boss fight, but...
How about a cool boss fight?
Cool. Yep, and that is a cool save strat. Well, not save strat, but backup strat by Squall. He failed to get bullets through the little hole. We're probably going to see Frozen do it, but he managed to use the hitbox of the ball after it explodes to set up the switch. No, Frozen had to do the exact same thing.
I'm pleased to see that neither runner went for that skip, which I will not mention the name of.
Solid with an E. And it
Solid.
ends with a C skip.
Oh, Solid. That scared me there. He took that save and then reset, but for a second, I always skip that save, so I was like, oh no, that just cost him a minute. But no, he's fine. He just made a little derp on platform. He's good to go. Making his way on the final super long auto-scroller screen here with the minecart.
That's a pretty scary save to skip in a race, because like you said, if you die on these lasers right after, well, hello, 1 minute, you're 1 minute behind.
Yeah, it's one of the only places in the run where dying costs about as much as it would on a boss fight, so you don't want to screw up in this area. Solid taking out this bat, and he's gonna go and do this fancy puzzle right before the next boss, which is Terravine. And Terravine is a really interesting boss. Speedrun-wise, it's really complicated, really fun, really enjoyable. You're basically just trying to beat down this giant plant as fast as you can, and you're going to be using your HP as a resource quite often if you're trying to go fast. But I'll be curious to see how our runners handle it in a race, because they know what's on the line. They know that, you know, if they don't want to take a death here, so... Squall not using lust strats on the spores and not taking the green goo, so he's playing a bit safe.
Yep, safe as can be, and he decided to move away from the spikes when he got dangerous. So I think he just wants to get through the boss, because I believe he knows he's ahead. And dying here would be pretty detrimental to his chance to win.
Frozen, unfortunately, took 3 hits on the lasers, so he's looking a little bit nervous, I think, on the rest of this fight. Hopefully things will go his way. Solid takes it down, no problem. So he'll be making his way to the next area of the game, which will be the Underworld. While Frozen, let's hope he cleans up this boss fight pretty quickly here.
I think he's fine. There we go.
Sweet.
Both players finishing the boss under 18 minutes, so both players are on a good pace that could very well be under 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. This first area that Solid is on here, that first save, you're just trying to reach the save point and use that as a checkpoint to take out the enemies that were chasing you. He kind of did it in a different way that I haven't seen before. He slowed down a bit to take out the convicts. I think maybe he just made a mistake or something. But he's making his way to the portal. We'll see how Frozen does here. He can absolutely catch up a little bit on this first save.
Perfect strat here. I believe pretty much everyone does the bottom save a little bit different. I don't think there's 2 runners that do it exactly the same.
It's really interesting to me because it's a save point that, like, I feel like if you just run and gun it and just go and do the same strat every time, you're basically going to get consistent results. And yet so many people have found different ways to do it. Solid was not able to get the quick kills on the skeletons, so he joins me as runners that cannot do that thing with greed in 2018.
I think that group is everyone but Shark, so...
Frozen having a bit of trouble there too. But cleaning up the portal...
the fire guys were nice to both players, though. There was nothing like a fire guy getting stuck really at the bottom right or the bottom left that can happen and lose like 8 seconds without any chance for you to kill them.
The fire guys in this game are just notoriously trolly. to anybody who speedruns this. They like to just go in the worst places and cost you a lot of time, but so far I haven't had the worst luck with them this run for either runner. Solid, though, taking a big death there. He's going for a small shortcut, saves about a second or so. Unfortunately clipped the Eater Spike, so lost a bit of ground there. Frozen's now right on his tail.
The Eater Spikes, is that the actual name of these mounts?
Dude, I don't know.
You don't know, you just came up with it?
I just call them Eaters. They eat you.
Okay, Eaters. Okay.
Yeah, Eater. But maybe Soldrin has a real name. He's probably going to say something like mouth spikes with teeth or something, and I'll be like, alright.
Maybe we can ask him, because in about 3 hours, Solgren is going to be doing the commentary for the next race, which is Moon versus Omega. So that could be interesting. And Squall right now is facing our little friend here, Kratrak. It's the Michael Bay chase run of the race, basically. Not much to do. You dodge the attacks. The only interesting part of the boss is that he has an attack that sends rocks at you, and you want to try to send these rocks back at him. Squall just got 4, which is very good.
Frozen getting 3, but
had a mean spawns. Really.
Yeah, the thing with the rocks is, like, if you're close to the boss, he'll usually, well, in general, he'll usually target your position and spawn the rocks right above your head, but sometimes they spawn a little bit to the right, and when they spawn to the right, it's really hard to get behind them so that you can actually use them as a weapon.
That's RNG. I mean, it aims for your position and your momentum, and then adds a little bit more to the Y coordinate just for flavor. And sometimes it can get really mean. Good kill here by Squall. I think Frozen is going to be able to kill on the second attack, unless he gets... Oh, he gets rocks here.
He gets rocks first, which is really great for cleaning up the fight. Makes it just nice and fast and easy. So Solid now onto the area of the game where you're going to collect 3 keys, and then use those 3 keys to unlock the gates on the way to the next area after that. And so he is going to just do the bottom fork here first. Frozen looks like he's doing the same path. And then once you grab the key again, you can death warp, because the game saves the fact that you have the key even though you didn't take a checkpoint. So you can abuse that a little bit and save yourself some backtracking.
Yeah, you really don't want to take the save, because the backtrack sections all will have special challenges when you come back. And these special challenges are, well, they're not that hard, but I don't know of anyone that really practiced them. So I don't remember how to do the backtrack for the middle key, where the rocks are falling and are ready to one-shot kill you if you're too slow.
I know how you do it. You die.
Oh yeah, you die. And then you try again until you learn how to do it, and then you've lost 2 minutes.
Yeah. I actually don't think we've seen a runner yet this tournament have to do the backtracks on the keys.
Yeah,
I know
Kenna had
to. Oh, okay. I know a long time ago, it was pretty common for runners to accidentally just press the down button when they were over top of a save point and then have to do it, and then they would, get upset and reset, but... Alright, Solid getting past that worm chase just fine. You're gonna see Frozen do it right here, where you just go fast, the worm's chasing you. If it hits you, you die, but if you do it optimally, you have no problem. And Solid also doing the fast cycle on the stream, hopefully. Looks like he...
2 is still fast. There's
2 is still fine.
4 fire guys that spawn there. But you can go to the right, because the way fog walls work in this game is if no enemy is on screen, they deactivate. Even though the fight is not necessarily over, sometimes you can manipulate skeletons to get away off the screen. And I believe we just missed Squall doing the AC skip in the first go.
Yeah, SolidSquall getting that damage boost, getting over Ancient Constructs. He's able to jump over the trigger that spawns the boss. Frozen's setting up for it right now as well. Both of them getting it first try, which is good to see. And now we're going to see the new skip in action, assuming they both go for it here.
First attempt by Squall. Very well done.
So nice. So
he didn't reset at the yellow save just before, so the balls are a little bit weird, but he manages to dodge them, and he's going to be making his way to the library.
Okay, so you want to reset there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, resetting on the yellow save makes the balls really consistent, and you can do the regular damage boost you would do while taking the red save before. It works out very well.
So Frozen not going for the damage boost. Squall, though, getting up there past that library skip first try. We'll see how Frozen does it. Man, just realizing now with that new skip, Library's now got 2 very critical skips that happen back to back.
Yep.
And then if you do that with the fast cycle, of the library, of the original library skip. I guess there's kind of almost 2 library skips now. But if you do it with the fast strat on the feather dash part of the library skip, that saves an additional couple seconds. So it's a pretty intense segment of the run now.
Agreed. And right after that, we get to one of the most intense boss battles, which is the second fight against Miyugi. So Miyugi is the first boss we beat at the beginning of the game really quickly. Now she went to the library to learn some magic, and she's a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, she's leveled up. She's gonna be scary.
Yeah, but the scariest part of the boss is not defeating Miyugi, especially at the level of play Frozen and Squall are. Is that at the middle of the fight, when she gets at about 40% health, she enrages and uses an attack that lasts about 40 seconds, and you cannot damage her during that time. But there is a way to skip that attack by manipulating her health at the beginning of the fight and making sure you have her fall on her butt right when she hits 40%. And it's very precise. You have, what, 4 frames to get it done, I believe?
Solid, not skipping the save before Miyugi, not trying to save frames.
It was not full health. That's still, I mean, I was thinking about Miyugi not being that scary, but not full health, I wouldn't do it. It would be a bit scary. So, Squall managed to do the health manipulation at the beginning, because you see a yellow bar on Miyugi too. If you hit her while the yellow bar is there, you heal her. So you have to wait before you can attack her and deal damage. Every 8 attacks makes her fall on her butt, and then you can chuck her into the lava.
Absolutely. So Squall here is going to be setting up for the skip. He's got to hit her a couple more times, and then you're going to see him wait until she starts the bouncing rock attack again. Here she goes. And if he times this right, looks like he did, he got the skip.
He's got it. Let's see if Frozen can get it done.
Frozen's going to need to hit this skip if he wants to keep up. Again, it's about a 40-second time save, so he's already been a bit behind. If he misses this, it's going to be pretty bad for him.
He's got it
as well. Nice job. Both of them using Gluttony for the skip, by the way, which I found kind of interesting.
I agree with it, actually. Frozen did the test, and Lust is not exactly consistent. Depending on the distance you are from the boss, it does not always hit on the same frame, whereas Gluttony is instant wherever you are. So it's easier to do it with Gluttony with consistency than it is with Lust. I've practiced it, and he's right. I agree with it.
Good to know.
Yeah, it helps a lot for a skip that is so important in this game.
Nice, SolidSquall getting through our, what are they called again? Maggots and Maggots Queen?
Yep. And something interesting here, if you manage to skip the cutscene, or like we saw earlier on, there's no black balls in the second part of the Acropolis. So now players can just go straight and as quickly as possible through the platform. They don't have to wait for the password miss!
SolidSquall missing the password.
And he saved!
Hardest part of the run.
He's gotta walk back.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
This is another one of those spots where you usually want to take a death warp once you've entered the password correctly, which is the hardest part of the run, so skipping the save is kind of tricky, so I don't blame Squall for taking it there. Frozen getting it first try, though, showing what a true boss of this game he is.
And that really shortened the lead, though, that Squall had on Frozen. Now it's at best 10 seconds.
Yeah, it just shows how close this race is that the password room made a big difference there. Not that it's not the hardest room in the game, but it's short if you do it right.
Yep. By the way, I'm being told by Kale on chat that Squall is 30 seconds ahead of his PB right now. So he's on a really good run.
They're on fantastic pace, both of them right now. I feel like they had a bit of a slower start than they would have normally liked for a PB attempt, but their mid-game has been solid. No pun.
Yep, Underworld was almost perfect for both of them. They got everything in the library on the first go. M2 skip was good. Craterak was not trolly. They got the keys on the first go, both of them. No deaths there. So, pretty good.
Man, Solid having no trouble at all with the skeleton strat there. Gets it all the way to the end. And still has musicless chambers, which is always a good sign. This area has a glitch in the game as of the current patch, where the music does not load in this area until you take a death and or a reset at a save point. And so the fact as a speedrunner, like, if you get to the orcs without having had music, that just tells you you did really well.
Both players getting musicless here and are going to be at the orcs at the same time, or quick kill. Usually you're meant to fight on the platform and dodge the attacks, which is pretty interesting, but nobody had time for that. I mean, so we just stay on the side, greet them until they die, just dodge the attack by fluttering very quickly. It's hard, but it's really fast and it's really worth learning if you want to be fast at this game. You don't really have much of a choice.
Frozen taking a couple extra hits there. That dog stayed alive for a little bit longer than he wanted to, so his HP is in a little bit of a scary spot. He's probably still fine, though.
It depends on the spikes. If the spikes are good here... Okay, he's going to kill purple quicker and try to kill red on the side by dodging the dog.
This is an important moment here.
Ooh, this is scary.
Oh,
saved it! Oh,
man.
Wow!
That had my heart racing. Oh my gosh. That was scary. So Solid getting a faster orc kill there, gaining some time on Frozen, but Frozen making it out at least, so both of our runners getting into the Path of Decay now.
Now, Path of Decay is the hardest platforming section of the game, and every save is extremely dangerous. So I think there's a big potential here for having a good difference in time for both players. So this could be very crucial for the race. Here,
Frozen getting pulled into an Eater spike, not an Ether spike.
Got nommed.
Get nommed on twice. That's definitely going to get in his head a little bit, I think, as well as set him back some time.
He took the safe strat here and waited for the worm to bop him.
Solid also running into some trouble. Not as much of a time loss, but still having some. It's definitely an area of the game where... Oh, that's an unfortunate death there. Choking at the very end of the four-way puzzle. Just kind of a long puzzle to execute. Frozen actually just made up a lot of time on him. Oh, but he messes up. He misses the strawberry monster.
He missed the last strawberry.
Not the strawberry monster.
Well, this time he got it. And the last drum as well, which is pretty precise. So now he's going to do the password.
And Solid on the climb. Solid using the more safety strat here for the climb. Getting up at a pretty nice, consistent way, and going to have this last fight. Has plenty of HP, can tank all the hits he needs to. Frozen right behind him now on the climb. Think we're gonna see some swag Bone Snake strats, or...?
No, not from Squall. Squall told me he never did it, ever, actually. So Squall will not. Frozen could. Frozen has been doing it in runs, I think.
I don't agree with Frozen doing it here. I think Squall could do it to just kind of show off if he wanted to, but Frozen for being... Yeah, he's not going for it.
He's like one save ahead. I wouldn't do it either if I were Squall. Alright. Yeah,
regular Squall goes for... Yeah, regular strat. No fast Bone Snake. So Frozen could gain a second or two there, which could actually make a difference in this situation.
You like meatballs, Cake?
I love meatballs. They're so good, especially with tomato sauce, which this area has plenty of.
It's not meatball gas anymore. It's tomato sauce.
It's tomato sauce, yeah.
Okay, Squall making his way through the meatball section here. Sadly missed here the slash gas slash sauce slash whatever. Because these little geyser of gas actually replenish the time you are allowed to stay in the meatball phase, which is called demon form in the game.
And Solid taking a couple deaths here in meatball heaven, I guess. And Frozen gaining a little bit of time. This is such a close race. This is ridiculous. I can't handle this.
Oh yeah, I mean, J2 is going to be big, I believe, and the next boss that's coming over is Azrael.
I mean,
Azrael is a choke potential that is massive.
I just gotta remind people, like, these two runners, I would say in general, SolidSquall has been more consistent as a runner at the platforming in this game. Frozendoze is the king of bosses. He is the king. He is the best at boss rush, and he has amazing skill, especially at J2. So if Solid doesn't have a nice lead going into the final two bosses, I believe Frozen might be able to make up a pretty hefty difference there.
Yeah, because right now the difference between the two players is really small, and say Squall does not manage to get Quick Enrage on J2, I believe Frozen catches him.
It's very likely. But I mean,
So
anything can happen.
It's not even a death difference right now.
Yeah, death difference might not matter. It might just be simply execution. How fast can you take out these bosses? Of course, taking a death here probably seals it for the other runner, the one who doesn't die.
Here Frozen forced to red shield Azrael because she spawned the portal right under her. That's unfortunate.
And that's a moment that you would probably switch to Lust, I think, if I remember hearing from you correctly.
Yeah,
and that would make a difference there.
Yeah, you can hit it diagonally and not hit Azrael, and you can sometimes snipe it. I think in that situation it would have worked. But you have to think about this, like in the middle of a race that's very even.
Oh, this is so troll by Azrael.
Oh, he saves it! He's got one platform and
so
20
scared.
health. Can he do it? Yes, he saves
Oh my
it!
gosh. I was freaking out. That's like textbook worst case scenario from Azrael, where you've only got a couple platforms left and she takes them and you have nothing to stand on. If it wasn't for the fact that Solid had a couple of the souls right above that area, he would have been toast.
And Frozen gained back some times here, and we're not even a save apart. Both
No.
players on the same save. Getting trolled a little bit here by the fire guy that spawned.
That fire guy was mean.
Yeah, you can't hit it there. There's no way.
So we're right in this situation. A shark tooth here. A shark tooth could decide this race right now.
Absolutely. And I would say Squall has an extraordinary J1 fight with Envy. He could extend his lead there.
Good point, actually. So Squall probably has the better J1. Frozen probably has the better J2. J2 usually matters more, but in this race, Squall has a bit of a lead, so...
No Shark Tooth here. Both players getting through the Heart of the Baneful Deathless. J1
Right.
now. Okay, so J1 is not that hard a boss, really, but what's hard about him is killing him fast. You have these spikes that he spawns on the ground, and you have to send them back into his face. That's one, that's two, and that's three in
Triple
the face.
headshot. With
Oh,
Envy
wow.
Rats, he's just mowing through J1's HP here.
And that's 2 in the face for Frozen, so that's not bad at all for him as well. He's using, however, Lust, which is a little bit slower than Envy, but a lot safer.
Oh, Squalid missing the third spike there. Still a double headshot, still pretty good. Frozen missing a spike there as well. I can't even speak right now. This is nerve-wracking, man.
Absolutely, 10 health, but Squall gets through with only 3 spike phases. That was fine. That was pretty good. Frozen's probably going to need the 4th spike phase here. And Squall is making his way immediately to J2. So I believe with the lead Squall has developed here on J1, if he just lives, I think he wins the race.
Most likely. He's got a good lead. Oh, what? Oh, okay. Frozen's just showing off. I'm just so used to seeing runners just like rush from J1 to J2 that I'm like, wait, what is he doing? Does he not pay attention? Okay, Solid starting off J2 here. I think a big critical part of this race right now is going to be if Solid can get the quick enrage on J2. Because if he has trouble getting the damage in early, it can slow down the fight significantly. Also, a death here from either player basically cost them the race, and this is the hardest boss in the game. So, I mean, if it's gonna happen, it can happen here very easily.
That RNG here for Squall where it gets right. So
Yeah, the right side screams.
Pretty low.
You can still save it. You can still do it. If he has to, he can take a hit here from a laser to make it happen. He's gonna do that. Frozen, I think, got his preference, which is the middle scream.
The health is a
Oh, no.
Crinkle Neck. He's not going to get the fast enrage because of Crinkle Neck. Oh, another scream.
Gonna have
So
it.
that's why you want to have the enrage quick, because that scream you cannot damage the boss doing it. You lose a lot of time.
Frozen is catching up quickly on the HP here, and he's gonna get the damage in on the dive.
He's got the health to tank a laser as well. I think Frozen has taken the lead here.
Incredible.
He has. Oh my god.
He's taking the lead, and Solid is having a hard time. That worm spawn is gonna mess him up pretty badly.
Wow, magic dodge here by Frozen. That was amazing dodging these balls.
I can't.
And he's gonna tank that other laser. I think he can do it. He's gonna get the kill right here.
Frozen gets it.
wins!
Cleans it up.
Oh my god, what an end of the race! Squall having a massive struggle during the end rage. Oh my goodness, what a race!
Are you kidding me?
I want GG's in the chat, please, all of them. Holy cow.
No, Solid with the worm spawn here. Oh.
He saves it. Can he dodge that horizontal ball? Oh my god, that was mean. But he gets the kill as well.
Gets the kill.
Both
That's
players
incredible.
under 40 minutes, but Frozen comes out with the win. Whew, my heart. What? That's actually a PB.
That's a
for
PB
Squall.
for Squall. You got a PB.
Wow. Congratulations to Squall, and it was not enough to win. Oh, that's a heartbreaker. He PBs and loses.
Excellent run from Squall and Frozen, both of them.
Jeez, Frozen PB'd as well, I'm seeing in the chat.
No, unbelievable. Both of them getting PBs in a race, and a very important race at that for both of these players, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean the seeding,
Especially
the seeding
how
is gonna be
close it
important.
was.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that must be the best race of the tournament so far. The ending was just magical. Oh my goodness. And I believe we're going to be able to be joined by our two runners here shortly. I believe Frozen is already with us. Hello Frozen, GG, well done on J2. Oh my god, that comeback. Wow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was watching the restream and I had to go all in. That was a fun race.
So, yeah, for the entire race, you were more or less 10 to 20 seconds behind Solid, and then just on J2, he got right, and he was about to get the quick enrage, but he got a crinkle neck.
Oh, rip.
And from there on, he lost control of the enrage because his health was a little bit low, and you just mauled J2. That was what, 157 kill, I would say.
Let me check. It's 156.
Wow, that's a fast J2. Let's just tell to the chat everything. Anything sub 2 minutes on J2 is fantastic. It's very difficult to do.
Man, good game. That was awesome. Solid is in here with us now as well. Yeah. And that was so unbelievably close, both of you. I can't believe what I just watched. That was such a good race.
It was a good race until J2. What the hell happened? Why? I lost 38 seconds on that split. I would have won the race.
Yeah,
you would have.
You were ahead going into J2. You got out of Azrael first, and then
That Azrael was sketchy as all hell.
Oh,
it
yes.
was scary. It was very.
I
scary.
red shielded Azrael 3 times. I got angry.
Oh, you
'Cause
didn't see
all
the
of her-
end.
All of her portals spawned into Azrael, and I had to red shield her every time to destroy the portal.
You should see my Azrael Frozen. I didn't red
Yes.
shield her, but I had no platforms.
And there was a moment when Squall jumped up and he was trying to finish off the boss, and the platform, she pulled the last two from the left corner of the screen, and so he had to use demon form to pull up the platform so he could stand somewhere and refresh his jumps to finish her off. It was pretty tense.
Yeah, at the same time, he had only 20 health. She used the 7 ways attack, and she was chucking blue shards at him. So that was scary.
And Frozen, you had a very close call on orcs. I was so
Oh my god,
scared.
Marks with. Oh my god.
You had one hit left to take, and you had to kill purple off a bit earlier, I think, than you wanted to with the HP level that red had, and then you waited out because of the orange spikes. You weren't sure if you could commit early on when red was on the left side, and so I was scared at the end of that.
Me too.
Too. And then Squall, you had such a good J1 fight. That was unbelievably good with the NV. You got the triple headshot right off the bat. It was fast.
It was good, but when I miss spikes, it's in PB run, so why not?
Yeah, I missed many spikes too.
I think I missed 2 or 3. I can't remember.
It was a bad J1.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a good J1. Not by my standards, anyway.
But, I mean, despite everything, Squall, I want to congratulate you on your PB. You are now sub-Wolfie.
Hooray!
Yes, great Squall.
I mean, sub-Wolfie is free, but yeah.
The Wolfie's now, I think, in 7th place. He started this tournament at 3rd.
He belongs.
I think he's going to belong out of top 8 soon. But man, so crazy race, crazy comeback there by Frozen at the end. Squall, unfortunately, you were not able to get the quicken rage on J2, and he did the annoying thing where he snaps his neck in the other direction when he did the dive, so you missed a lot of damage there too. Frozen doing a textbook Frozendoze J2 kill, which is just, in this case, was enough to make up a difference.
Yeah, I just couldn't recover from that. I knew I wasn't going to get the quick enrage, so I had to tank the laser, and then after the laser, he went straight up. And I think I could have got him into a quick enrage if he'd have, dived the right way.
Yeah, you had it. You were fine. You had the health under 50%, I believe, at that point.
Good. But then he turned around and then everything went sideways. I didn't know what to do. I just kind of panicked and went jumping from side to side, having the worm chase me all over the place. I think
At least you survived.
I had like 3 worms coming after me.
Yeah, that was definitely a scary moment. But yeah, that whole race was close from the very beginning. It was just, I think there was a lead change fairly early on. I can't remember exactly what the lead change was.
Veil 2. The lead, just to tell you how even it was, the lead changed just because Frozen went for the heart and Squall didn't.
Yeah.
So it was that close for most of the race.
I got lucky on that. The scumbug hit me.
Because I actually think, Squall, you were ahead at the end of Floating Keep, but then Frozen got Vomit on Pagora, so he pulled ahead. And then he went for the heart strat, and you didn't, so you pulled ahead. And then after that, I think it was just you were ahead for the entire race, but just by a little bit. It was like a save or 2 apart the whole time. That was insane.
We can't forget the biggest boss in all of this. Password.
Oh, yes. You say the password.
I messed it up and then was gonna slide out and took the save.
You took the save?
Yeah.
I took the save.
I also had to use 7 orbs for the password.
It's okay. As we all know, Password is the hardest screen in this game, so it's absolutely understandable when somebody messes it up.
I agree.
Oh, I also got really confused when there wasn't any voids there. I was expecting to get hit by one, but there was nothing there.
No, there's no void. When you do the Uga skip properly, when you come back, there are no orbs in the second area of the Acropolis. So that's one of the biggest part why this skip saves time, actually.
It confused the hell out of me.
But it makes getting out of the password room a lot faster, at least. It's less dangerous.
Squall, did you use Gluttony for the M2 skip?
Yes, and I got it.
Yeah, you both got it. I'm going to start using Gluttony as well. It's a lot more consistent.
Yes.
Gluttony is a cool thing to see used in a run. At least it has another use again, since it's been dead ever since Ancient Constructs stopped being a thing. But hey, as we move forward in this tournament now, Frozen, I believe that puts you now at 4-1.
Yes.
And so that means you automatically are going to get into the bracket for sure. I think you're going to probably end up with a seat of 3, most likely, at this point. And Solid, even though you took a loss here, I believe your average time is easily good enough for you to also get in.
Hooray!
So
Did Wolfie
in
get
fact, Wolfie does not get in. Wolfie has not played.
He's not good enough, I get it.
He's not good
He's too
enough.
slow.
Called out. But I actually think there's a possibility that you two might face again in the first round of the bracket. What do
that'd
you
be
guys
good.
think
Wow.
about that possibility?
That'd be good. That'd be fun. I don't mind
Yeah,
losing
that'd
again
be
as long as
fun.
it's close like that.
And even if you don't match up there, I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to meet again in this tournament. So if you guys in the chat today enjoyed this race, be ready because we might see a rematch, and that would be pretty cool.
I would be hyped for it. I didn't want to miss that race today, and I'm really glad I got to comment it because wow, that ending was absolutely hype.
And moving on with our schedule here, later today in about 2 hours, we're going to have Rising Moon versus Omega Matt. Another important race because Moon actually needs to win that race or else she will be out of the running in the tournament. So elimination is on the line for Moon. She has to beat Omega Matt. She's
Isn't that
favored.
the same for Matt?
I believe Matt is already out just by the fact that he doesn't have enough wins and he doesn't have a good enough average time. But
Okay.
Moon has to win. And an interesting thing that's going to happen with that race is actually we have both Dash Retro, who's become kind of the voice of Wings of V for this tournament, as well as Solgren himself, the developer of this game. He's going to be commentating. So it's going to be pretty exciting and interesting. So stay tuned for that here in about 2 hours. And then later this week so far, I'm playing against Dash Retro tomorrow. And we have Shark versus Ziggy, which is going to be another very important match. It's going to decide the second seed of the tournament on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I'm sweating just thinking about it. That's going to be something that you will not want to miss, I think. It's going to be pretty close as well.
Do you have anything to say to Shark right now, Ziggy?
No, I'm not a big trash talker, really. Except good luck, Shark. We'll see you Thursday. I'm boring like that, I'm sorry.
All right. So any last comments from any of you guys about this run or about the tournament?
This tournament was really fun so far, and thanks for commentating, guys. It was a fun race.
Oh yeah, don't forget to follow our runners and our commentators. That would definitely be a good idea. Both these guys, Frozen and Solid. I don't think Solid's been running and streaming as much recently, but I'm sure he will do some of those from time to time. Both of them pushing very, very competitive times in this game right now, so definitely check them out. Check out Ziggy as well. He's been streaming more lately. He's come back, and he's been moving up. He's currently got, I think, third.
Fourth, Canaris bought me not so long ago.
Dang, Canaris with the bot, but Ziggy's got fourth on the leaderboards as well. So you're looking at, some of the very best runners of the game right here. So check them out.
Yep, and check out Cake Sauce, who's right now the monster in this game. Like, he's a little bit of a notch above everyone, and we're just trying to catch him, and it's been difficult. But he's also a great guy, and he streams a lot of very good games, speedrunning. He was also, you finished third in the Shanty tournament as well. So give Cake Sauce a follow. He's also a good guy. So I'd like to thank everybody that watched today. Don't miss the race that we're going to have at 5 p.m. Eastern in 2 hours. And goodbye, everyone.
Thanks again to Speed
Goodbye.
Gaming as well. Hope you guys all have a great day.
See ya.
See you.